You ready? Okay. Hello, welcome to my lesson plan presentation. I'm doing my lesson on what's love got to do with it. I would first like to start off by just saying that we had our refreshments, we did everything else, and that we so we're just getting right into it. I have with me several ladies. I think one of them that I had intended to be here is not here. And we have our wonderful camera lady, young lady, and that's a nice. But I would like to start off by asking everyone in the room. I would like to ask you guys a question. Um, what do you think? What do you think love is?
What God says it is?
So that's your answer. Is what God says it is. But what do you think it is? Like, what do you think God says it is?
It's a sweet melody. I sweet melody.
Okay. So, anyone else want to answer this? What do you think that love is?
Honestly,
Yeah.
a harsh, amazing emotion.
A harsh, amazing emotion. Okay. How about you?
Um, Unconditional acceptance. But I could see where the harshness and amazingness comes because you have to accept everything. So,
Okay. Okay. I'd like to also ask one additional question. And this one is a little bit different because I want you to think about what your definition of love is and tell me what do you think the things that people could do. Um, like what kind of acts can a person perform when they're not doing it out of love? Like what would those actions look like to you? Like some people think, like, well, if they rob the bank, they must be an awful person or something, or like that. What things do you think can be done if there wasn't, and without love? If that, I hope I made that clear.
yeah, a lot of stuff I know can be, and I know one of the things that I don't like is like people could work at a daycare and work with children and around children and not have love for them and not have love for what they're doing. And I don't like that because the children get shortchanged and neglected. Even though it's somebody that's watching you, they get neglected. So I can have a degree in early childhood education and I could be a PhD, but if I don't love them, then I'm hurting them more than helping them. So that's just one thing. Just that you can do those things. I mean, even having children, you can have them and not love. You can be a pastor and not have love.
Okay.
I would have to say always talking down to someone. Like you love someone, you're not going to talk down to them. Like calling them out their name and what's the word I look for? Verbal abuse.
You will be verbally abusive.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, Sierra probably doesn't want to be on camera. But you can still answer. So tell us what you think a person, the kind of actions they would portray if they were doing it.
They love. Shit, her face ain't.
They gonna do everything in their power to actually show you that they love you instead of hurting you and putting you down.
Okay, so they're gonna do everything in their power to you said to express their love for you, and instead of hurting you and putting you down. I think those are some wonderful and very interesting answers. I really do. I think that they're also pretty much what I think we would expect to hear. Because it was exactly what I expected until I started doing the lesson and I really allowed the Holy Spirit to lay on me. Because I've read 1 Corinthians 13 several times. But, well, more than several, but it's just a matter of this time something stuck out to me more than anything. Would anyone like to, can they pull up 1 Corinthians 13? I would like someone to read it. I actually, and I think if we just have, I have you read I'll just have you read it, and as we go through I might stop. But you can read it and we'll follow along, and like I said, I'll just stop the insert here and we'll try it that way. I think that might flow us through the whole thing, other than just reading it one time and then going through. Unless y'all think that would be better, would y'all like for her to read it all through first?
I like just as we go, but I don't know how they.
Okay.
You said 1 Corinthians what?
13. Read 13, 1 through, let's see. Yeah, 1 through 8.
If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, if I deliver up my body to be burned, but not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient and kind.
Okay, stop there, because yours is different than mine. So I'm gonna stop you at 4 for just a second. I'm gonna have you finish reading in a minute. Believe it or not, most of the teaching that I have had myself has been on mostly between 4 and on.
Right.
God spoke to me about 1 to 3. He said, if I speak in the tongues of angels, of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. I stopped and I said, wait a minute. God is a lot more literal than we think sometimes. And I got to thinking about it, and I realized he's saying literally that you can speak, you can have tongues, you can speak to, you can have all that stuff. But if you let things at a certain time get to you, and you all of a sudden start, let's see, people get on your nerves, you get frustrated, and you walk out of, you're not being kind of good. He's saying that you can literally do this, but you will sound like a noisy gong or clanging cymbal. When someone doesn't think you love them and you tell them things, or they tell you, if you think that someone doesn't love you, don't it kind of have the same feeling as if someone was standing beside you with a gong or some clanging cymbals, and you want them to shut up? I said, wow. I had a situation today where my daughter was feeling like I didn't love her. But no matter what I said, she wasn't hearing it. But I stopped the conversation. Not because I don't want to conversate with her or have a confrontation, but because I'm aware if what she said is, right now you're not thinking that I'm loving you, you're not going to hear me. So that's what I'm going to pray about and work on, because I want her to receive that I love her first. Because then when I say something, she'll know I say it out of love. And I think about that with you too. That's how I work on our relationship. And I also went on to, because look at, we talked, and you guys said things like that you would have somebody can verbally abuse or hurt your feelings. That right there is something that you can do with you. God said that you could actually speak in the tongues of mortals and angels and not have love. Then he goes on, he says, and if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries. Now, think about this for a minute. He said, if I have prophetic powers, when you go to a church and you meet these people with prophecy, even if you have a gift of prophecy, he's saying that you can have those powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge. And if I have all faith, and it's impossible to please God without faith. So as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. So I said, wait a minute. I am nothing? Yes, he's telling you, you ain't nothing, because you're not really accomplishing anything or caring about anybody. You might have gained all that stuff, but what is it for? What is that for? Yes.
What I was me. What hit me as you were saying that was that God is love. So if I'm everything, but I don't have God, then everything will pass away except Him. You know what I'm saying? So my physical body and all that I am nothing without Him. Because I could be everything in this whole world, but it's gonna be gone one day.
But even to put that in, see, we have to take that, because what we do sometimes, because that's a great point. But to take that big, huge thing that's out there, how do you take it and make it practical for your daily living, so that it changes your life now. So that now it's becoming something that becomes an epiphany and a revelation that can enrich your life. Taking it from that place, because if you know that you have God, well, those times that you realize that you might have these gifts, but this is but you are not walking in love, then that's letting you know that at that moment, then that's more God that you need to have in you. So it's the recognition of where you are, so that you can improve, not as a condemnation, because that's not what God wants, but He does want conviction. Because otherwise we would be okay hurting each other. And when that's what we're saying sometimes, is that He's trying to tell us, if we don't walk up, God is love. So who is He talking to? He's talking to Himself. This is not for Him. So it's for us. When we get in these situations, and He's trying to tell us, you are. He's not saying that only good people, because there is no good people. There's only a great and wonderful God that we can get filled with to become more like Him, let Him make us over into what's good. And it's when we look more like Him, when we have more of Him in us. And so as He starts to show us these things, not in, like I said, not in condemnation, but in love, actually, because He wants our lives better. Listen, we are like those children that we have in the other room. And we are like those children that they have to be together, so they have to learn how to get along. We're on this planet together, and we're all here. So how are we going to treat each other? Let's not even have to go outside our personal homes, because if you start there and that's your foundation, you look, no matter what house you build, that foundation, if it's solid and good, the house is okay, the house is staying. But if you don't have a good foundation, you might as well hang it up. So how we treat each other and how we do in our home when the doors are shut and nobody's looking, we think it doesn't affect anything outside, but God says yes, it does. And the thing is, He says, I am nothing. So what it is you're not accomplishing what God, your purpose, the thing that so if you're nothing, you might go out here and win everybody might think great of you and wonderfully of you. And everybody might think you did a wonderful job, and oh my gosh, this guy, he did all this stuff, and he's a great prophet, and he understands all these things because he's so smart, and God just blessed him. But you haven't changed anybody's life. You just glorified yourself. You have not loved, so you didn't use that for someone else. You used it for your own gain. You're nothing, because the creator of the universe, you did not even go and honor what He sent you here for, what His purpose is. And if you haven't gotten Him to me, it's almost like saying that like if the president wanted to meet you, or if the mailman. Not saying the mailman does a bad job, but you see him every day. I don't know how often anybody sees the president and they not seeing him on TV. So, using my laptop. It also goes on. It says, if I give away all my possessions. This one tripped me out, because you think about all those people at the homeless shelters giving away stuff. There's so many people that give things and stuff. And it said, if I hand over. Now this one was really, if I hand over my body so that I may boast. Now, in this because I'm using this is Bible Gateway.
Oh, okay.
Now, well, I don't have it. I should have brought it and put it up in front, but I don't use that one for my studies. What I do in my studies is I use eSword, and I use our Revised Standard version that we have at Oral Roberts. So this part literally says, if I give my body over to be burned.
Right. Yeah.
So if you sacrifice your body as an offering to be burned, you guys, And if I hand my, now notice what it says, but do not have love, I gain nothing. So people who do this stuff because they think they're getting brownie points with God, he's saying, I gain nothing. He's judging your heart, and he's saying, look, people think, well, you shouldn't care if I don't care about these people, but he cared so much he sent his son to die for people who did a lot of horrible things to him and didn't believe in him and didn't care about him. So when we say there's a justifiable reason for us not to walk in love, then the fact is that there is not a justifiable reason for us to not walk in love. That doesn't mean we have to not care about ourselves, because we have to practice love on ourselves too. And if you are being patient and kind and things like that, it's the way you handle things that will begin to change. You will take the time to go pray and fast before you go confront someone. Because why? Because you're going to take the patience, you're going to be kind, you're going to do those acts of love. And speaking of that, we can go down to 4 and go ahead and read all the way to 8 now. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and start from 4 and going down.
Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things.
Go ahead and finish. Just read 8.
Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. For now,
you can stop there. You know what? You actually went a little bit longer than I wanted, but I'm glad you did, because right at the end when you were talking about this, before I even jump back up here on this, I want you to understand that as I've been learning and going through my classes at Oral Roberts University, and as I've been doing that, one of the things that I have really taken account of when I read now is passages and where they're placed and how they're placed. And you notice that he's talking about in the first section of this paragraph, in the very first 13 to verse 13, 1 through 3, he's talking about the things that you can do without love, and and the consequences basically. The second part, right up in here, he's talking about what love is. And then when you go down here, he starts to tell you that all this other stuff may pass away, but this is how important it is. But he also, right down here when he says, when I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. That is not put there randomly when it comes to this. So when you think about children, and what they go through, a lot of times we're getting ready. I want you to think about children in relation to just this part right here where we're getting ready to go. Because the first thing we're going to do is 4 says love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious or boastful or arrogant. Now, I know a lot of people like to think children are never those things, but a lot of times they are, because they're, they think about self. They're born thinking about self. They have to kind of be trained not, to think and to learn how to share and care about other people. But children are not usually patient with each other, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly. So if it's not patient, so we're not patient with each other. But let's just start with this. How many of you guys are patient with yourselves?
I'm not. I know I'm not.
Are you patient with yourself? Are you patient with yourself? Now notice that patience is, when you make a mistake or do something wrong, are you patient with yourself, or do you get mad, or how do you respond? Well, I should have known that.
It depends on what it depends.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the mistakes for me.
See, and then think about it, love is kind. A lot of times we might think that we're kind of kind to ourselves, but kind is also when we don't feel like being kind to even us. So if we're not doing these things even with ourselves, it's gonna be really hard to do it with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So learning how to love yourself in the correct way, because there's a counterfeit. Because we all see people out there, they think they look like they love themselves. They'll buy themselves a lot of stuff, think about themselves all the time, don't care about nobody else, and they think that that's love. But you usually, if they're not patient with other people, it's because they're not patient with themselves. If they're not kind to other people, they're usually not very kind to themselves. They don't do things that'll take care of them like they value themselves. You know. So 5 says, or rude. It says it does not insist on its own way. And it says it is not irritable or resentful. So when I stopped and think about this, I said, okay, we thinking that he's just talking about, hey, that means that we need to be kind and all that other stuff. He's also telling you all these things. He's going into detail. When you don't feel patient, you're not walking in love. When you don't feel kind, you're not walking in love. When you're envious, you're not walking in love. When you're boastful or arrogant. And I want y'all to think about your spouses and your significant others, your sisters, your, people who you're in close proximity with this. Okay? I want y'all to really think about this while I'm talking to you about it, because that's
to a different page.
But those are the relationships that I want to focus on, or want you to focus on, simply because, like I said, this is foundation. This is something that if we start there, branching out into the world, I think it'll be a whole lot easier. Okay, and here's, I love this. Now listen, it is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. I have been confronted with people who I knew who were liars. And I would say, Lord, and they would be telling me something that I'm like, okay, I can just assume they're liars. But you said that love hopes all things. Mm-hmm. So how do I hope that when they keep lying to me? And a lot of times when God is taking me through stuff like that, because it's like, do I believe what they say? Do I just keep, I don't want to be a doormat. I don't want people taking advantage of me. I don't want them walking all over me. But I would hear the Lord say, if you handle this with love and in the right way, then it'll turn out all right. And he says, so most of the time when if they're coming to tell you something, a story that has nothing to do, they ain't asking you for anything, just listen. Ain't nothing wrong with that. If you think that they're lying about it and they got a problem, go pray about it, because it's only bothering you. Okay? But what about those lies where they're coming up with this story? Oh, my dad just got shot, and my dog is dead, and my rent's like 20 months behind, and oh my gosh, and they're coming up, and you feel bad, but you still feel like they're lying. Deep down, you know it. And God asks me the question all the time. He'll say, now, be patient with them and listen. Be kind to them and be honest. Are you able to do what they're asking you to do? A lot of times I'm not even able to do it. So I don't have to even go to the point where I'm calling them a liar or anything else, because I can't do them either. So your scheme didn't get to work because God didn't even give me the provision to take care of it. Because it's a lot of times, have y'all not noticed when God wants you to do something, you get the provision for it, and then the person like, I happened to get an extra $200. You need $200. God works things out when we take it and allow him to, and we just trust in him. And it's not always easy. I have to be in my head sometimes talking, Lord, you really got to help me with this. If love is not envious. Oh my goodness. We've all been envious. I don't care. We go somewhere, somebody gets something we want. Ooh. What do? Do we act like it isn't there? Do we pretend like we don't feel envious? Because that's what good people do. They don't feel envious. Or what do y'all think you should do? What would be a good solution to if you feel envious? What do you think would be the best way to handle that. I mean, because
Pray
we,
about it right then and there.
yes. Now, we've all felt jealous before, envious. We've all felt envious, right? So can anybody think of an incident or a time when they felt envious and, and God ministered to them and what happened? Or even if it didn't turn out so well and you just want to kind of see a different perspective either way.
Well, I'm not. I guess by my personality, naturally, where I get envious over a lot of stuff. But I know I'm the envious over like people's shapes and stuff because they might have been small or look nice in their clothes and stuff. And that was a long, a lot of stuff. But when I would go to God and I started talking to Him about it, He ended up telling me things sometimes that made me more compassionate for that person, because they can still look like that and feel like me, and I didn't know that. Like, so nervous about their shape, they could have lost 80 pounds the year before and be so scared it's gonna come back, you know what I'm saying? Or had people tell them growing up about their body so they cannot even recognize and be happy when they get the shape, and so I might want it, and that person having it, I had to come to understand too that just because they have it don't mean I can't have it. God didn't make only one, and whatever's
Okay, you gotta pay attention. You're cutting a bit off. I know it's hard.
whatever's for me is for me. So that helped me to not be just like you're not forgotten about just because somebody else gets something. That's their something,
Did you have a comment?
She pretty much nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, and that's exactly what I want. I want y'all to kind of be aware that simply because you just went through a whole way of dealing with envy. Well, that's exactly what he's saying. He's saying, I want you to find not to stop and think that you won't be envious again. I like to think of it this way. I may not be envious over this and I conquered it, but there's other stuff out there. I'm the only reason I'm not envious over it, I haven't seen it yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that I won't ever feel envy again. He wants me to catch it and understand when I feel envious or boastful or arrogant. Because one of my big issues, mine, is this right there. Yeah. Arrogance. Yeah. I think people stupid all the time. So I have to take God.
That's not all you. Some of them are stupid.
No, that just means they make it easier for me to be arrogant. That don't mean it's them. It just means it makes it easier. Because I promise you, there's so many ways that God showed me that when it comes to Him and going, and I mean, there are people who have walked with Christ longer than me, and they know more than me. They season more than me. And even when I get around them, I feel stupid. Matter of fact, let me just put it this way. It ain't that I feel stupid. I'm aware of my stupidity and how much I have. And so, it's not that. It's so, because I know I'm a work in progress. I'm just okay with it because He loves me. He loves this right here who's a work in progress. So, if ain't nobody else like it, I know He does. And that right there changes my whole attitude. It's like, you know what? It's almost like it makes it like if the bully came up and started saying, your mama eats snails. And I'm like, and you're wonderful. I'm glad you're living today. Mm-hmm. It does dumb hot coals on their head because so many people that mean ill to me have come up and tried stuff like that. And I'm like, God has put so much joy in my heart that the joy be overflowing. It's like, but I love you. Mm-hmm. It kind of defeats that, So I can't say that it does work. Here's something else, and this one I know is really hard for especially us married people. It bears all things. I had to really stop with that one, especially when my husband was having problems. I said all things. You gotta want to bear this one, because when God started to show me that part of what we were going through was He had some things that He had to go through, and what if He wasn't catching on as quick or it wasn't happening as fast? Would I be able to bear through this? Because really, what if I just had to leave him alone for a while or do something that was going to put me uncomfortable to help him out? We think sometimes that bearing on things is just like, oh, he got a problem, he can lean on me. But sometimes he's got a problem, he can lean on me, but what if he's got a problem, he don't know he got a problem yet? How are you going to treat him and how are you going to act? Because especially if that problem going longer than you think it ought to go on, you think you're a Christian, you ought to catch this by it ain't happening like that. It's hard because we don't think about that and then trying to apply all this to them because, matter of fact, the best way I apply it is you don't deny that you feel these things. You take them to Christ and you talk to them and acknowledge and know that you are going there with the intention of God, I need you to help me I'm not patient right now. I am not being kind. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like being kind. I don't feel like being patient. I'm feeling envious. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling that. So if I'm feeling all that, I need you to help me so that I can, because I want to be patient. I want to be kind. Help me to see things differently and open up your heart and your mind to God's word. Now, I think that for time's sake, I think we kind of went through a lot of it, but I would like to kind of wrap it up with one. We're gonna do a minute.
My bad.
Okay, we're gonna. I was thinking about. I had an exercise, but I don't think it. I'm gonna let this part go, y'all. We're done with this part. I had an exercise intended, but I didn't get the paperwork taken care of, and I couldn't tie it in as well as I wanted to. So I'm gonna do this with us again on a different way and stuff, and I'll use it then to do a different lesson. I might even take that one, who knows, even if I don't put it up, we'll have it, and we can always go back to it if we want to. But here is what I want. I would like for all of us to, this is a more personal part, because to find, like, in some way where we know that we have not been loving and not been kind, and I would like everybody to speak out what they think, like something that they've had an issue in that way. But here's the deal. I need, so that everybody would practice this, I need everybody that we're going to come up with a different solution than like I'm not handling this right, and I know this is wrong, and we're going to do that, and we can even do it almost like a truth or dare. So, and we're going to do both truth and dare, but we're going to do it in a different way, okay? So,
It's a dangerous game.
huh?
It's a dangerous game.
It's a dangerous game, but Christian truth or dare is better. The truth is, you're going to tell the truth, and I dare you to do something different. Do you feel me? The next week, you can practice it. But the truth, you have to tell the truth. Now, find a relationship. Now, I'm going to pick this because I want this to be challenging. Everybody always has at least one relationship that is challenging them. Can everybody think you got it in your head? A relationship that you are having trouble